Welcome. Welcome to United Way of King County's weekly live stream conversation, focusing on education strategies and mentoring during COVID-19. Today, we're joined by Hazel Cameron, Executive Director of the 4C Coalition, Don Cameron, the Executive Director at Seattle Cares Mentoring Movement, and Ruel Olanday Jr., Community Impact Manager for Youth at United Way of King County. Today, we'll discuss how our community's nonprofits are helping young people continue to make academic gains and make sure they're staying connected to the supports they need. Thanks to Alaska Airlines for presenting today's live stream. If you have questions for Hazel, Don, or Ruel, please be sure to type them into the chat window and we'll try to get to all of them following the discussion. With that, it's my pleasure to pass it over to Ruel and start us off.
Hey, thanks so much for joining us today at this live stream. Again, I'm Ruel Olanday Jr. with United Way, and I'm joined by Hazel and Don from 4C Coalition and Seattle Cares Mentoring Movement, respectively. We're here to talk about all the different types of education strategies that are currently happening with United Way, of which a lot of our work with reconnecting youth, engaging students who've been disconnected from the education system, looking for GEDs and high school diplomas, and how we've pivoted to support those folks, to our work in early learning and how we are still trying to meet with parents and young children to meet their gains in early learning, and what's happening amidst this COVID crisis. We're reaching out to you two today, Hazel and Don, to kind of hear about the work that's been unfolding in your respective organizations and what you have done to kind of make pivots amidst these changes and this new reality that we're in.
Well, I want to thank you first, Ruel, and United Way for this opportunity to share information about the work we are doing with youth and families during this devastating COVID-19. There have been a lot of changes. We serve 40 young, energized Black 7th grade boys in virtual wellness mentoring circles with mentors and facilitators. So we moved from in-classroom to virtual groups and on Zoom within a matter of weeks. We had no time to waste. The sessions are guided by facilitators, as I mentioned, and mentors. And one of the promises I know Donald made early on to these young scholars was that we would not leave them. We would be with them. We've been working with them in the 6th grade, 7th grade, and we will follow them through the 8th grade. And that was very important to us in creating these virtual sessions. So providing virtual mentoring service at a time when our community needs the most, it's not only been a blessing to us and to the families, but to the entire community. I think we're all being blessed, and finding that we can do something good in the midst of such a difficult, devastating time. I really have to give most of the credit to Donald for creating the process of us going on the virtual movement. And so I'm going to pass it on to him. He didn't sleep day and night for weeks. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to pass it on to Donald to share how the process happened and how we got here.
Well, thank you. I think as we began to assess what was happening in our community and what some of the challenges that the families were struggling with, we felt like we needed to do some type of needs assessment because we needed to get some type of baseline of where they were in this whole process, right? So we sent a needs assessment form out over, let's say, a 2-week span, and we got a variety of different responses back. Some of the things that we really wanted to check in to find out is, number one, how they were doing physically and mentally and those types of things. But then also what type of technology devices they had, because we realized if we were going to reach them through any programming, we need to know, how we needed to help them, if they had internet service, computers, laptop, tablets. So I would say after we got that assessment back, I would say maybe at least half of the families had devices, computers, and technology tools that they could use. So that let us know then that needs to be our first line of strategy in terms of we need to get devices in their hands. So the gentleman that put our website together, Scott Marlowe, did a great job on our website about 2 years ago. He made a connection with someone he knew, interconnection in the community. And when I called and talked to them, they were already ready to go. It's almost like they had the laptops ready to go. We just have such a great relationship with Scott. But I called and talked to him, and they said, how many do you need? I said, we roughly need about 25. And she said, give me about a week, and we'll have them ready. So we went, picked the laptops up, and I remember we picked them up on a Friday, and we started giving them out that Saturday and Sunday. It took us literally about 2 weekends to give them all out. In addition to the laptops, well, Chromebooks, I should say, we also got about 14 hotspot devices because some families just didn't have, internet connections. And so we just wanted to make sure they had all they needed. But in addition to that, a lot of families, although they didn't have the technology tools, they didn't always know how to utilize them. So we had to do extensive training. I would say we probably did about 4 or 5 different trainings. Most of them were, walking them through on the phone, doing conference calls, and just reaching out to them, just walking them through the process. But I would say that was probably our biggest challenge as we went from the classroom to the virtual classroom. But from a scholar's standpoint, I would say the first week we probably had about a 50% attendance rate at each of our schools. So let me back up. So we're currently working at Denny and Many Middle School, working with 20 scholars at each school, as Hazel mentioned. So we had about 50% attendance rate. But each week we started to see that attendance rate improve at least another 5 or 10 at each school. And this past week, we had about 85% attendance rate at Mini, and probably about 75 at our Denny Middle School in West Seattle. So right. we are starting, and we have another class today. In fact, it's starting in about 5-10 minutes. And we anticipate. We have a great team, though. We have a great team. So they're good. So this week we expect even a better turnout rate. So I just think the kids are just really excited about it. And, one of the things we wanted to do is we wanted to make it sort of fun for them, too, right? These are serious times in which we're going through. So we wanted to create a curriculum and activities that they can really relate to and give them a chance to be creative. So we have 10 pillars in our curriculum. And as we talked to our team, we decided the creativity pillar would probably be the best one because number one, to give them a chance to be creative, of course, but number two, do a fun activity. So the activity that we're focusing on now is they have to create superheroes characters. And I tell you, going into the 4th week, it has been amazing to find out how creative they are, number one, and how much they're really getting into this. I mean, they really are enjoying it. As I was talking to a parent last night, just confirming that her son was going to be there, her two sons, I said, just make sure you remind. She said, you don't have to worry about it. They already told me that they're going to be on tomorrow. So the kids are really looking forward to it, and we just began a lot of great responses from the families.
I'm just the one that was a lot of information to kind of understand the depth of work that you guys just did in this just little amount of time, and you know, a lot of people are experiencing opposite effects in attendance to more education work programming, but you're seeing the opposite, which is growth, which is so exciting to hear. I mean, in what you both just shared to me, I'm just listening to you as a mentoring organization pivoting to be technical assistance provider, emergency service provider, access providers, physically delivering materials, increasing your mentorship, involving more parents, making it more fun. And it's such an exciting time to kind of still center on growth, but at the same time give hope. And that's so exciting to watch that pivot naturally from the both of you. I'm just in awe, and if anything, just bowing down to the wonderful things that you're creating for your communities. I mean, what is something that was surprising from you as you've pivoted? I'm hearing so many wonderful things, but is there something that maybe Hazel or you, Don, that is like, that was such a great thing to talk about, or such a great thing to point out as a highlight or a surprise from this work?
So I would say one of the big surprises that where we realized that in addition to not having the computers and the other devices, that a lot of the forms that we needed the parents to complete, like the parent consent forms and needs assessment forms, they didn't have the technology to like printers to print them out or be able to get those back to us in a reasonable time, right? So we had to create all of those forms in a text message. So they could complete the forms on their phones, they could submit them through their phones, and we would get a pretty quick response back from them. So we had to take all of our forms that we typically would email out to families and move those over into a text message so they could complete them quickly. And it made a huge difference, because when we sent them out initially email-wise, we didn't get a bunch of responses back, but when we realized what the challenges was, in terms of just having the ability to complete them, we switched over quickly to the text message option, and it worked really well.
And what I want to say is that these young people have not seen their peers. And that's really tough for children. You're suddenly out of school, you don't see your friends anymore. So I think the excitement of them seeing their peers on Zoom was just amazing. And just watching their faces on our first sessions, and as they were one time, saying, oh, Jeremiah, would you send me your phone number? And, really getting to know each other again. And we spent a lot of time just checking in, asking them, well, how have you been spending your time? And I remember one of the first sessions and just listening to these young men, of how they're really managing their time, from playing sports, doing their homework, helping their mothers with their siblings. And, it was just amazing to hear that they had structure, but how disappointed they were that they could not go outside. And a lot of these young men, they want to play basketball, so there was, some of them came and they had the balls in their hands on the Zoom, and they were bouncing them, playing basketball, while they're talking in their bedrooms. Yeah. So it's really tough for these young people, but they're taking it in stride. And I think that's the beauty of how they are adjusting. And it really shows how resilient and these young people are. And I think we have to give them that credit, that these young people are able to adjust to something quickly. And it's been just profound for us to watch how they've adjusted and are making an adjustment, not just for themselves, but wanting to support their parents. And they see their parents' struggles that they have. And this is what has made it so interesting for us, too. And I like to mention, as Donald was saying, the pillars that we have with the Rising program, we have an activity, and they created the superhero, and we asked them, so what superhero would you be, and what would be the virtues of that superhero? And it just was amazing as they developed the superheroes, who they were going to be, and what the virtue of that character is, and they moved into telling these amazing stories about and connecting their superheroes to COVID-19 and how they were going to save the world and save Seattle, save the school. And Donald probably could share a little bit more about some of the interesting stories that have come out of some of the sessions with these young men.
Yeah, there was a couple of stories, but the one that really comes to mind is there was like a meteorite that was going to hit their middle school. So all the kids, the superheroes, they all came together. They went to the library, did research in terms of how they would come up with a strategy and a plan to be able to protect their middle school. And it was just amazing to see them congregate together in that way and really come up with a plan and strategy to just not only save their school, but save their community as well. So, yeah, it's just been amazing to really see them grow. And I'm sure they're going to have some great stories that they're going through even right now as we speak. But, I also have to give hats out to the parents because, they have done an amazing job. They really have. And I mean, just some stories, just spending so much time at home with kids, parents making sacrifices. I was just one of our kids we work with at Denny Middle School. Mom's a bus driver, and she has a 2.5-year-old and a 12-year-old. And she said, sometimes I feel like I'm a referee, a teacher, and a mom. So I'm wearing a lot of hats, because the 3-year-old, I guess, is kind of going out to the little teenagers from time to time. But, parents are really struggling with this too. But I think they're very grateful for at least that 1 hour and a half that we work with them. Mom just told me that yesterday. She said, hey, I like you guys' platform, your format. It's not just a video or YouTube that you're just watching. It's actually live people that you're actually engaging with. And I would say, Ruel, you probably noticed when you helped us put together the breakout rooms, that was really a game changer for us in terms of doing our programs, because it allowed us to really create a 1-to-5 ratio between mentors and youth. And because sometimes youth aren't always comfortable speaking in a large setting, but I don't think these stories would have developed as well as they have had they not been in a small group session where some kids who may not want to speak out will be very vocal in a small session. So there's some really exciting things that's going to be coming within the next couple of weeks that we're going to be sharing with the community about what they're doing. I kind of shared it with you guys yesterday, but we're gonna make an announcement on it in a couple of weeks. But I think it's going to be a great project, and some people in the community are really kind of rallying behind it, and we're really excited about it.
And I just want to add, one of the things we have noticed is in the classroom, you have 20 boys in a classroom, you're going to have, behavior issues. And that when we spend a lot of time in the classroom, they're dealing with behavior issues from time to time. But in this setting, none at all. We have no behavior issues. I think part of it has to do with the fact that these young men are, again, seeing their peers and excited to see each other. So they show up every week, with their little outfits on or their hats on and ready to see their friends, because this is the only opportunity they have to see their friends from school. And so it's been enlightening for us to have this opportunity and to suddenly give this opportunity to the parents who are homeschooling and doing so much and who are overwhelmed a break. And so we're privileged to be able to do this for the community.
We're also thinking about creating some more fun activities, like maybe one week we'll just have a special hat day, right, where everyone will wear a unique hat that they want to represent, or a special T-shirt day. That everyone will wear a special T-shirt that will have some resemblance in terms of some meaning to them and their family or whatever. So we are trying to, although we have some serious conversations, fun topics, but we also want to have some fun to it as well.
I'm hearing like two especially important things, well, three, many things, but one of which is just the type of next generation leadership that is coming out in regards to just how young people rise to the occasion amidst crisis. And it's so fascinating to see how it's so cultivated at a young age. And then two, despite being at a distance and social distancing and being at home, you're diving deeper in working with young people because you're able to kind of connect to them at a more one-on-one level through breakout rooms in Zoom or one-on-one sessions. It's just so enlightening to hear, especially in times where there's uncertainty. There's certainty in this. I mean, that's so exciting. I also wanted to kind of hear more about with your relationship with parents. Like, what else are you hearing from them in regards to what's showing up in needs, or since you've made the pivot, what other things are you hearing from young people, from your youth, from these boys about their experiences going through this transition? Have they been sharing anything interesting that you can share with us?
Yeah, actually, one of the young men a couple of weeks ago, he said one of the issues is food. He said, we need food in the house. He said, 'cause I'm eating all day long. That's what I do. And, he's seventh grade boy, so that's what he does. He spends his time eating. So we're fortunate and we're grateful for the funds that we received from United Way, that the funds that were housed out of the Seattle Foundation, the COVID response funds. And so we're grateful for those funds. And so we have sent out a needs assessment to all of the parents to find out what the needs were. And the number one need was food and toiletries. And then there was rental assistance and utilities. So we've been able to support several families with utilities as well as with rental assistance. And actually, one of the parents that we assisted with rental assistance, Asian Counseling Services, also supported the full rent. So it was $2,200 for the May rent, and we were able to split that between Asian Counseling Services and the 4C Coalition and pay the full rent for May. The mother, the day we called her, she was in the hospital having a baby, her fifth child.
Oh my goodness.
It was such a blessing to us to be able to do that. And when she got home, I was concerned about sending her all the documents to fill out because we do have to, do our proper things of sending out documents for her to fill out. She got it back to me right away. She went on Google Docs, filled out everything, sent it in, and we were able to cut a check and help her. So we're seeing that. We've also put together bags of toiletries. So to all the parents and families that requested it. So this COVID response has opened up a lot of needs for our families. They're struggling. Yeah. And there's just not enough. There's not enough funding. We go on and on that day to night of the work that's being done, the calls that are being filled, the questions that are being asked of us to help families. And but we're grateful for what we've been able to do. But at the same time, the need is huge, as you know.
I think also, just to interject what Hazel's saying, one of the things also we want to do is now that we have the scholars on board with their wellness circles, we plan to also launch the wellness circles for the moms and guardians. That's going to start probably in about 3 weeks, and we've been getting some really good positive response from that. Basically, we want to give them a place so that they can have a chance to share what they're going through. Right? I mean, we create a platform for the kids, but I think the moms and the guardians also need a place that they can share what they're going through as well. So we're excited about that, and that's going to probably start sometime toward the latter part of May. And so we're really excited about it. And we have an amazing facilitator. And one of the other good things I will say about the virtual piece is that we have a facilitator in Chicago, we have a mentor in California, and we also have a mentor in Las Vegas. So, and the rest of the mentors are from here locally, right? So it opened up an amazing opportunity for people to be able to give back. I mean, of course, these are people that were associated with our program to some degree, but they feel very happy that they can give back in any way they possibly can, and this platform allows them to be able to do that.
I mean, it's so wonderful to hear how essentially your organization has pivoted to be a first responder. In so many ways. I mean, educational providers like yourselves are at the first of the line, first on the ground, first to hear of issues, and you're doing everything on top of mentoring. I just think it's so exciting. I'm thinking about all the other organizations that we're partnering with at United Way. Organizations like Red Eagle Soaring, who are part of the Love and Liberation work, who are doing a similar version of Zoom, and they're doing theater online, and they're connecting with well-known, recognized Native American actors across the globe. Getting feedback about the business, or you're seeing like organizations like community passageways or other organizations who are doing home visits while practicing social distancing, just like in our learning work and our Parent Child Plus work. We're trying to meet folks where they're at and just make these sort of pivots, because nonprofits like yourselves are such amazing first responders, because you had that relationship before COVID, you continue that relationship during COVID, and you'll see their success after COVID. And I think that's so wonderful to have folks like yourselves who are committed to the community. I want to thank you so much for this discussion. It's so, anytime, any opportunity I get to chat with both of you is just a highlight to my day. But I want to make sure that we're getting some questions coming from this live stream that I'm pretty sure I took up too much time asking you guys questions. So I'm gonna give it back to Jared to make sure that we have those times to answer some questions coming from folks asking online.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ruel. Indeed, we do. And we're probably going to go a couple minutes after 12:30 because we got a couple minute late start. I'm going to start with a question. Do you need volunteers or mentors? JT asks.
We absolutely do. It's ongoing, a need for mentors. So currently, when we're not in COVID-19, we are in 2 schools and 1 community center. So we're at Denny Middle School, Meany Middle School, as we mentioned, and we're also at Yesler Community Center. So we have a group there, and the evening group at the community center gives the opportunity for folks who are working during the day to still participate in mentoring. So we're always looking for mentors, men and women. But as you know, the great need is for the devastating mentors to support the devastating number of young African American and boys of color who need that type of support, who are being raised by single parents or are in unique situations. So thank you for asking the question. Absolutely.
In our next mentor orientation, virtual mentor orientation, going to be on June 13th from 10 to 12. This will be our first virtual training. They're typically, of course, in person on Saturdays, but they've always been on the second Saturday. But one of the things that we're looking to do moving forward is, once our program ends sometime toward the end of May, the online version, before we go back into the fall, we would love to be able to match some of our scholars with one-to-one mentors over the summer. So whatever mentors we train between now and then would allow us to be able to connect them, because some kids need a little bit more support. So this allows us to be able to do that. So those mentors that can step forward and work in a one-to-one capacity, that would be fantastic.
Thank you very much. And a little note, uwkc.org, United Way's website, has our volunteer page, and you can find how to connect to both Dawn and Hazel's organizations for opportunities there. I'm going to combine 2 questions here. One says, have you thought about a way to share those superhero stories? Could you publish them online maybe? And I'm going to combine it with, and what kind of superheroes did the kids want to be?
The answer to the first question is, we are thinking about doing some publications of those. We're working with a few organizations, or having some beginning conversation with some organizations now to find out what next steps are with that. So I would say stay tuned, more to come on that to be coming in the future. I would say some of the superheroes are very similar to some of the ones that we're very familiar with. Batman, Superman, Spider-Man was one. Those are the most common one. Black Panther, of course. And what we noticed is that there were they're also coming with their own superhero themes and titles. So, and that's what they're working on over the next 2 weeks. And then hopefully we will be able to roll that out into some form of publication that we'll probably be, talking about on our website and stuff like that. But it's a really fun project, and the creativity has been quite remarkable. So I'm excited to hear what they're working on right now as we speak. So yeah, I would say in a couple of weeks we'll be able to share more about what publications are going to be coming out, both electronically and potentially in a hard copy.
Fantastic. I'm in the spirit of getting a lot of questions quickly. I'm going to combine two again. First, I'm going to say just a comment from Gary Alexander. Says we're excited for your partnership at the Yesler Community Center.
Yes.
That's great, Gary. Yeah, he's been such a support to us, and we've been running our program at Yesler for close to 10 years. And we have University of Washington football players, the Huskies, who are some of the mentors who come to that community center. So it draws a good group of kids. So thank you, Gary. Thank you for the partnership.
You've just been amazing.
CH asks, what ages are the youth in your program, and is it only for young men?
So the two programs that are doing the school day, Denny and Minnie, those are both boys groups. The group that we have at Yesler Community Center is both young boys and girls. And the age range is, the evening program, I think, is 13 to high schoolers, so middle school to high school. And then the two middle schools, of course, those are, next year they'll be 8th graders. So that program, that was a 3-year program for those scholars, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So they're excited about coming back for their final year, and we're going to get those kids. They're going to be ready when they go into high school. I can assure you that.
And the principals in both of those schools have asked us to create programs for girls. So more to come. You know, when something's working, you know, you're going to be asked to do more of it. So we're looking at that. Have been looking at it for a while, and so we're excited about the potential because the girls have needs as well as the young boys.
They really do. I mean, we get a lot of calls about working with young girls and also elementary schools. I probably get more calls from elementary counselors and principals than anyone else. So we thought about making that pivot also to working with even a younger population.
And the need is there, and the mentors are stepping up. We had a call from a principal of a young girl who was talking about suicide, and within a matter of a week, we contacted a mentor and did a match, and she was able to support that young woman. So the need is there. People are stepping up, but we can always use more mentors. And we do have a website, a Facebook page. Any information that you want, as we mentioned, it can be found on the United Way website. And we'd love for you to step up and get involved.
I would say another way, a lot of parents are really struggling with the homework aspect of the online platforms. And so tutors also is another area of tremendous need. I mean, one mom said, hey, math wasn't one of my best subjects in school myself, so I struggled trying to help my son when it comes to his math. So I would have loved to have had a mentor that I could, or a tutor I can call and say, hey, can you give this mom a call and let's see if we can work something out for you doing some online virtual tutoring. I think that would have been a great opportunity. So you know, we're also keep assessing our needs. We're always trying to make our program better and dig deeper to have more options for our families and our kids. So I would say that's probably an area that we're really going to focus on is how do we maybe bring virtual tutoring to some of the scholars we know are struggling in some academic areas of need.
All right, thank you. I'd love to get one last question and have to have a really rapid answer. Ellen asks, how many scholars do you serve every year? And is it a larger number now thanks to the big response to your online mentoring program? And I'll have you guys, when you answer, go ahead and then wrap up and do your sign off because we're going to have to cut this short.
Okay.
So we currently serve 40 young African-American boys as scholars at those two schools, Minnie and Denny, 20 at each school. And of course, because the counselors are sending more students our way, we've accepted a few extra kids, so we can go up to anywhere about 43, 45 kids in each between the two schools.
And then the Yesler group on Tuesday nights, it ranged from anywhere from 10 to 20, both boys and girls. That is a mixed group. So, and those are mostly high schoolers.
You know, and I just want to close by saying, you know, that I truly believe that if we all work together, we can really create something different. something can be birthed out of this COVID-19 that will change the lives of many, and we're seeing it just with the small group that we're working with, the impact and the challenges that we're able to support these young people. But we also want to thank United Way and all the programs that have supported us for their care and their compassion in helping us do this great work.
Great partnerships. It's
Thank
been
you.
huge. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, you both. I know that this work, what you're doing on the front lines, and you may feel alone, but know that I think a lot of people here today hear that you are doing, will share that you're doing wonderful work, that we're here to support you, that United Way is here to support you, that I'm hearing that you're also working with other nonprofits as a coalition to work and support with one another. It's great to see how everyone is galvanizing during this untimely time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you so much, Ruel, Hazel, and Don. This has actually been a real highlight in my week. It's so nice to hear uplifting stories. So thanks for all the work you're doing to support young people and to help them secure an education for a successful future. Thank you to you viewers and for your questions, and thank you to Alaska Airlines for presenting today's conversation. We really hope you'll join us next week. We'll be joined by Mariners Executive Vice President and General Counsel, who is also United Way of King County's Board Chair, Fred Rivera, and United Way CEO Gordon McHenry to report out on United Way's Community Relief Fund and to talk about what they're hearing in the community. You can watch our live stream every Wednesday at noon on our YouTube channel. As was mentioned on this call, the needs in the community are continuing to grow. Learn more about how United Way is addressing these needs head on with our partners like Don and Hazel, and how you can give to the Community Relief Fund or volunteer to help at uwkc.org. With that, a big wave and a big thank you to all. We're all in this together.